Dying Light 2 has a couple of advantages on the Xbox Series X. Psychonauts 2 wins Game of the Year at the New York Game Awards, and Joseph Staten says that Halo needs a bit more time to finalize their seasonal roadmap. Welcome back to another video, guys. If you enjoy daily content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So Dying Light 2, a very highly anticipated game, releases tomorrow on the Xbox Series X, S, PC, PlayStation 5, and there have been reviews that are already coming out for this game. Overall, it seems like it's pretty positive in general for this game. I mean, there's some people who dislike it and some people that really like it a lot, so you gotta have to hit that balance if you're looking for reviews before picking it up. But hey, like I always say with that kind of stuff, if you're really interested in this game, the best bet is probably just to try it out for yourself, at least after watching some really trusted reviewers. But besides the actual reviews for the game itself, and if people are enjoying it and having fun, we got the actual performance review here from Digital Foundry, and this is the Eurogame article for it. So as we know, there are 3 different consoles that are going to be looking at this on: the PlayStation 5, the Series X, and the Series S. So first of all, off the bat here, there is the 30 FPS modes and then the 60 FPS modes. The Series X and the PlayStation 5 actually have 3 modes. So there is performance mode, resolution mode, and quality mode. But unfortunately on the Xbox Series S, there is only 1 mode, and maybe they will change this in the future, but the one mode that you get on the Xbox Series S is 1080p at 30 frames per second. Now, we've seen this happen before with games on the Series S, where initially the game comes out and they lock it at the 30 frames per second, and then eventually they have made changes so that you can get the 60 frames per second. I believe this happened with Assassin's Creed Valhalla when that first came out with the launch of these consoles. So hopefully they do that, because even if a game has a dynamic resolution scaling and sometimes the resolution drops below 1080p in certain areas of the game, I think most people will take that if they can get that 60 frames per second. On the Series S as well, there are no ray tracing features. Now, when we look at the PS5 and the Xbox Series X, the Xbox Series X does have an overall advantage over the PlayStation 5. So firstly, in the standard performance mode, they both get 1080p locked at 60 frames per second, and there is a combination, they say here, of relatively low resolution and the temporal anti-aliasing solution to ensure that presentation is definitely soft in this mode. So they're obviously going to be trade-offs to get that locked 60 frames per second. Now, where a big advantage comes in here with the Xbox Series X is with variable refresh rate. As we know, the Xbox Series X supports variable refresh rate, and it's supposed to be coming to the PlayStation 5, but it is not there yet. And there are reports here saying that you can unlock the frame rate on 120 hertz screens with variable refresh rates once this feature gets unlocked. But however, during the review period, it wasn't functioning yet. So we'll have to see how that works in the future. But what we've seen so far with variable refresh rate in other games out there is just how great of a feature is with the Xbox Series X and consoles in general. Next up, there is the resolution mode, and here is where we do see the advantage of the Xbox Series X and that extra GPU power. So in resolution mode, unfortunately, again, it's locked at 30 frames per second, but the resolution is bumped. So on the PlayStation 5, it will be 3200 by 1800, and then you see a 16.6% increase in the overall pixel count on the Xbox Series X, with the resolution being 3456 by 1944. Now, they do also mention here that at times it is hard to actually notice the difference, but there is that advantage with the Xbox Series X machine. And overall, there is very minor dips beneath the locked 30 FPS, and these are generally with like isolated effects like jumping in to the water. Now, again, it's a slight advantage with the 16.6% increase in the pixel count, but it definitely is showing the Series X extra GPU power is going to give you that slight advantage going forward. And we're only in year 2 of these consoles, developers are starting to really be able to utilize them to their full potential, but generally within a console lifecycle, you don't really see that until years later. And with a game like Dying Light 2, we have to also remember it's still a cross-generational game. You're going to be able to get this on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, so it isn't built from the ground up for these more powerful consoles. And finally, with Dying Light 2, there's actually a third mode, which is quality mode, which is 30 frames per second and a 1080p resolution. But the big difference here is that you get the ray tracing and the ambient occlusion, which they're saying is actually utilized very well in this mode. And overall, I mean, they say the effects within this mode are actually transformative, but yes, you're getting that huge trade-off with resolution and performance. Now, what mode should you play in? I mean, it is all up to personal preference. With a game like Dying Light, where there's a lot of parkouring and running around, I mean, the 60 frames per second mode probably is the way to go. That's the way that I would play when I jump into Dying Light 2. So you can just check out every single mode. That's the great thing about the options here, and it's cool that there are 3 options. And I would love to see this type of thing going forward with all games on these consoles, where they give us as many options as possible, so you really get to choose how you want to play. But I do want to see them potentially add an extra mode for the Xbox Series S with that 60 frames per second. All right, moving on here to finally some recognition for Psychonauts 2. And I say that because at the Game Awards, it was nominated for 5 categories, and for some weird reason, it didn't win any. And I really think it deserved to at least win one of those awards that it was nominated for. But luckily here at the New York Game Awards for 2022, Psychonauts was the game of the year. And it also won another award here, which was Best World, which I can definitely agree with. It was an incredible world within Psychonauts to explore. The platforming was fun, and the overall characters in that game blew me away, just like the dialogue and how that story expanded and how the world met with the characters, and just everything within that game was just really, really well done. And then Tim Schafer also was the recipient for the Andrew Yoon Legend Award. Now, if you're wondering what the Andrew Yoon Legend Award is, it's presented to the New York Video Game Critics Circle to recognize people and organizations that have exhibited a significant sustained body of work that shows exceptional artistic achievement and innovation. And I mean, it's hard to argue that Tim Schafer and Double Fine have not shown that. I mean, his studio is known for just like some of the most wackiest, artistic, creative games out there. So like I said, good to see that they got recognized, and Psychonauts 2 was an amazing game, and I'm very excited for what's coming out next from Double Fine. We've seen what they have been able to do with the extra power of the Microsoft money, resources, personnel, all that type of stuff behind them. So I think their next games are going to be very, very good, just like Psychonauts 2 was. Finally, here to end things off, a little bit of disappointing news, but I'm still confident that we're going to see all this stuff by the next season. We'll have to wait and see. But it comes from Joseph Staten saying, hey folks, in November I said we'd have a Halo Infinite update on our seasonal roadmap, co-op and Forge in January. We need more time to finalize our plans, so what we share is something you can rely on. This work is my top priority, and we'll have an update as soon as we can. So the good news is they aren't pushing anything forward that they can't deliver on at the end of the day. The bad news is we're still waiting on the roadmaps of what's going to be happening with the season stuff, and for me, most importantly, what's going to be happening with the single player campaign, and how are they going to be adding content to that. And then co-op, are we definitely going to be getting co-op in the next season? Because I think it's vital that that happens. But I mean, the game itself, it got delayed a year, and they did deliver with a great fun product for everybody to play. So I'm sure they're just wanting to make sure that when they do speak about what is coming next, it's not something that they're going to have to delay like they did originally with the game, and that they're going to 100% going to be able to deliver on the promises that they make. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with this. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Are you excited for Dying Light 2, and what do you think about that advantage with the resolution that Xbox has? What are your thoughts on Psychonauts 2 winning Game of the Year at the New York Game Awards and the next season for Halo Infinite? Are you worried they aren't going to be able to deliver everything that they have promised? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. If you're new here, you like what you saw throughout this video, I'd appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for your support, and I'll catch you in the next video.
We'll be right back.